once again. Y'all already know we talking about a very controversial subject going on the underground, above the ground. Right now, we talking about India Arie critique of Young Miami spin that has caused a whole lot of motherfucking controversy. Because she's saying that the shit is, a lot of people's is glamorizing, some low frequency activities, that is low frequency. And like you got babies out here and shit rapping this shit, she had her critique on it, and people blew the shit, overboard. I think it was blown out of motherfucking proportion. But Trick Daddy, with his decrepit looking ass, he goes up there and tries to cut into India Arie, and the thing is, this is how I see the shit. First and foremost, India Arie is like, how old is India Arie? Okay, India Arie is in her 50s, 60. I don't know where I know she at least in her 50s. You know what I'm saying? So she more or less like somebody auntie. Somebody auntie, and a grandmama and shit and this, that, and the third. And good goddamn well, you can't come over that, you got that auntie, especially the older aunties and the grandmama and, you know what I'm saying? You can't come over there with bumping none of that shit. None of it. They don't want to hear nothing. And I remember when I was coming up, my mama, and damn near everybody in the in that generation. It wasn't no good rap song. All that shit was garbage to them. Oh man, they didn't give a fuck what it was. All that shit garbage. You know what I'm saying? So that just almost you're gonna get some type of critique, but I think it was a conscious critique. I do believe it was a conscious critique, because look at where the fuck we at right now. See, the thing is, we look at how the fuck we act in the community. A lot of the shit that we do, and we say, man, black people's is fucked up. I'm gonna talk about that today. A lot of people say they got this black fatigue, that they tired of all the dumb shit that niggas do every day. They killing, they robbing, they stealing, they doing all the dumb shit that you could think of. But the reality is the majority of the shit is highly profiled in music. It's celebrated in music. You see? And so, in order to, turn some of this shit around that you seeing out here in the streets, you have to address a lot of the shit that motherfuckers is saying on these songs. Now, me personally, I have gotten on the brothers. I haven't gotten on the sisters like that. Even though it's still a part of the same fucking culture. You see what I'm saying? It's like, they both feed off of each other. Period. That's how the shit went. The niggas wanted to be Nino Brown. They wanted to, be out here with the cars and the money, the houses. And in the rap game, nigga was selling dope. And then you had the women that supported that. They didn't want a nigga unless he was Nino Brown. And that's the shit that they rapped. So they fed off of one another. You see what I'm saying? So now we look at the niggas with the shoot 'em up and selling the dope. We got to, we cut into that, but you got to cut into both sides. You got to cut into both sides. And we know, see, a lot of times, well, if we come from the hood, we come from the motherfucking hood, that's what a lot of times that's what motherfuckers know. That's just what it is. Some motherfuckers, I done been in the hood and I done seen motherfuckers that was trying to make moves to somewhat get up out of the hood, and then we all knew certain motherfuckers like, that nigga ain't never coming out the hood. He ain't coming out. He ain't got the mental capacity to fucking come out the hood. You know what I'm saying? And most of us know that. And then that motherfucker could stun your ass and prove you wrong. But it's certain niggas that you know out of the, that's in the street, that live on the block. That nigga, that's all that nigga has ever done. You don't see that nigga doing nothing else. So if you got that kind of mind state, they gonna defend that shit because they ain't gonna live no other kind of motherfucking way. No way. That's how they live. That's how they intend to live. And so the majority of them kind, they gonna defend it. They gonna defend it. And so that's what it is. Trick Daddy, man, don't nobody respect that nigga. Man, that nigga look like a fucking a Mr. Potato Head, but not a potato, a turd. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker look like a turd. I'm just gonna say what it is. Nobody give a fuck about what Trick Daddy. That he the type of nigga, and the way he disrespected India Arie, knowing that, his own auntie, we got aunties and grandmamas that might even have a worse critique than that. You know what I'm saying? Might even have a worse critique than that. You know what I'm saying? The woman was trying to, saying she ain't said boycott, and all of that. But then, somebody showed little babies, rapping that shit, And then when the baby growing up, and then they boosting and they doing and all this and whatever they doing and chasing that lifestyle, yeah, that's what the fuck you get. The frequency you get. So yes, she said that the music is frequency. I've always taught that it's frequency. You know what I'm saying? The motherfuckers that vibe on that level, you understand? The motherfuckers that want to shoot them up, bang, bang, that's, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the fuck they be listening to when they ride down the motherfucking block and shoot them up, bang, bang. You understand? You got to have a soundtrack for a motherfucker's lifestyle. And so they provide a motherfucking soundtrack for a particular lifestyle. But this lifestyle, we saying we got black fatigue. We tired of this shit. So what the fuck? It's going to be some motherfucking feelings that's going to get hurt. It's going to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? We tired of this shit. We tired of that, all that, and the motherfuckers that produce that shit and whatever. And Trick Daddy, the nigga used to, as far as I knew, and I listened to some of his music, Trick Daddy was trying at one point in time have a little consciousness in his music. I'm not gonna lie. He has some, you know what I'm saying? He has some street shit too. But the nigga would try to put a little consciousness in some shit every now and then. You know what I'm saying? So for him to be totally like, like he can't understand, like, in the rap game, you got all these magazines, right? And they be having like these critiques of a motherfucker's album and shit. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers will say, man, that shit garbage. They're just straight up say, oh man, that ain't what we thought it was gonna be. They have critiques on video games and all kind of shit. And motherfuckers will straight up say, man, that shit garbage. But are you gonna crash out on a motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? You gonna crash out on every motherfucker that say, oh, this, that, and the third? Like I say, I thought the nigga could handle, he should have been able to do better than that and crash out on her like that. You know what I'm saying? All that bitches and shit. And yeah, he ain't have no motherfucking respect, man. Trick Daddy is a scum of the fucking earth. You was a piece of shit, nigga. And you know what I'm saying? You was a piece of shit. Real talk. Motherfucker be ready. See, that's the kind of shit, man. I'm not going to say nothing, but everything has a frequency. And how he cut in. And she didn't even disrespect, Young Miami. She didn't disrespect her. She didn't call her no names and shit. She just said the motherfucking song has a negative frequency. It got motherfuckers out here thinking they could do, and got the babies out here doing this, that, and the third, rapping this shit. believe in this shit, and then the next generation come up doing the same shit, but motherfuckers say they tired of the shit, but yet they continue to rap the shit, promote the shit, play the shit, but they tired of the shit, and then when somebody say something about the shit, you got something to say something. You got to say something about the shit. You know what I'm saying? Now you want to get in there and say something that, but see, that's the frequency. That's the frequency. Motherfuckers live off of the frequency. And they addicted to the frequency. So, if you try to take that shit from them, these niggas ready to fight you over that. They ready to fight you over this shit. But anyway, Trick Daddy was out of pocket. Real talk. And some real niggas need to step to his ass and be like, man, have some motherfucking respect, nigga. She didn't disrespect the woman. Like, goddamn. I mean, do you think India Arie, the only motherfucker, said that with some God? I ain't gonna say the music. It probably was it's catchy. I come from the hood and shit. It's catchy. Motherfuckers they gonna vibe to it. And that's the crazy shit about music. It's hypnotizing. You know what I'm saying? You would be in there vibing to a song talking about slitting your own motherfucking throat. You know what I'm saying? You would be in there, slit my throat, slit my throat, slit my throat. Yeah, slit my throat. You know what I'm saying? And the next thing you know, when a nigga throat slit used to be like, well, what the fuck? Why the nigga didn't come to me and talk to me? You see what I'm saying? So y'all, create this motherfucking energy. Anyway, family, I appreciate y'all. Click that. Leave a comment. Let me know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? It's no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? We want our people to keep getting money. We want them to keep, but we want to thrive in industry. Music is supposed to be medicine to the soul. It's supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to motherfucking uplift. When we listen to all the music previous to the gangster shit and all of that, why was all the black music, somewhat uplifting? And to this point, now we okay with rapping about our own demise. We got to say something. You feel what I'm saying? Click that link down there, Patreon. Get over there, get that 2 Raw for YouTube. Over 600 videos by the General. Also, generalseti One Stop Etsy. Get over there, get them hard copies, DVDs of generalseti lectures. Can't get it nowhere else. I'll see y'all in a minute. Black Power.